This is the last year of normalcy.
I believe it.
This is the absolute last year of a normal economy. Even right now, if you look at the job numbers, they're all negative. Every fucking month, they're negative, like a recession. And that's why Trump went into Venezuela, grabbed that oil, went into Iran, grabbed that, because while the world is losing jobs all over the place, you think it's just in America? The Chinese just had factories completely replaced with robots and robots. I told you this shit 6 months ago.
Yeah.
My billionaire friend says he goes to a dark warehouse. I'm like, what's a dark warehouse? They have no lights.
No lights.
Why? They have no humans in there. It's all machines. They don't need lights. So what I'm trying to tell you is, this shit is all coming down. Every little bit, piece of it. So you can do one of two things. You can enjoy the last year of what's gonna, of this type of living. Go out there to the bars, go have a whole bunch of whores, or you can prepare. Prepare by knowing something about AI. Prepare by having some money in reserves, gold, ammo. If you go to my house, you think it's a grocery store with how much water I have there. I'm ready.
Stocked up.
Do you know one of the richest people I know? He called me up 18 months ago. He's like, Gary, I'm gonna open a gun shop. I'm like, why? There's not much money in that shit. Why would you open that? He's like, oh, I'm not worried about making money off it. When shit hits the fan, I got fucking somewhere to go get all my ammo. They told me that 18 fucking months ago. It's coming. It's coming. Prepare, because
All right. Shalom, shalom. Keepers of sheep. Brother Kasha back with another lesson. Lord's will, this video is edifying. All right. Before we begin, I'd like to first start off by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rekah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Shalom, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. All right, today's lesson will be titled, And He calls of all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond. It's coming. And I may shorten it because it's a lot, but something to that nature. All right. And as you can see, today's lesson is, of course, it's inspired through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Rekah, HaKodash. All right. But just want to make points and edification from the video with a clip played at the beginning of the video. All right. So you have some podcast members basically saying how, many millionaires are warning of this all over America right now. And while, there has been many whistleblowers, all right, there have been many warnings going out, all right, from these millionaires, all right, these people of so-called high status, all right, people who have money, all right, in America or whatever, right, and it just reminds me of Revelation 13:16, okay, and Isaiah 24, all right, and many other precepts, how, everyone's going to be affected, all right? Everyone's going to, feel the crash. Everyone's going to feel this effect, all right? Everyone's going to, be affected by the beast system, right? And, it's only because, this world has, it's been stringed along, and everyone's about money, all right? Everyone's about, chasing a check or a bag or, becoming successful, all right? That's why scripture says, we'll grab it real quick, but the love for money, right? Because many people quote this and misphrase it, right? But we're going to break it down, all right, according to the Spirit. All right, this is 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10 says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, All right, not money itself, but the love of money in this world has what? They have set their hearts and desires after money. All right, people working for what, 50, 60 hours a week. All right, people willing to do anything for money, sacrifice their parents, their friends, and themselves. Okay, take the Diddy parties. All right, they're just for money, man. All right. It says 1 Timothy 6:10, for the love of money is the root of all evil. All right. It says, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. All right, so that love of money leads to many sorrows. But what? Because why? Money profits nothing, especially in their wrath. We'll grab that. All right, because what are you gonna do? All right, because the elites, they don't chase money; they chase out the power, resources. All right, things of that nature. What are you gonna do on the day of the Lord? You cannot pay the Lord off, right? You can't offer the Lord any money, right? Any riches. Okay, he gives the increase, right? Proverbs 11:4, it says, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. All right, so the only way to deliver your soul or save yourself, all right, as they say, is to be of the righteous, all right, not money, all right. They say money buy happiness, but in the end, all right, after you done made all this money, all right, your profit is sadness, okay. You made all this money to inherit sadness, okay. Your how do they phrase it? Your I forget the words, but you worked all your life, okay. Your retirement, all right, is sadness, right? So, this money thing has deceived a lot of people, and it's going to deceive a lot of people into taking that mark, all right? Because, people need, of course, money is a defense, all right? According to the scriptures, roughly paraphrasing. So we do need money, all right? And like Paul said, abusing, using the world, not abusing it. So of course we need money to, buy certain things, tissue, soap, food, water, things of that nature, right? But many people have, used this as they have served mammon, right? When let's grab that real quick, just to, make the point, right? Because people have made money their God. All right. Matthew 6:24, it says, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. All right, I mean you can't serve, the riches, all right, the lust of this world, all right, the cravings, because what they say, money rules the world, right? And money does rule this world, right? Cream, all right, cash rules everything around me, right? And Jake uses these terms, all right, but these are literal terms that actually apply to this current world, all right? So let's get to the point. I have a few precepts, and once again, Lord willing, this video is edifying. So this is Revelation 13 and 16, all right? One of our favorite future prophecies, all right? Revelation 13 and let's see. I get straight to the point. I may come back. But it says Revelation 13:16 says, and he, matter of fact, yes, Slack, bear with me. Because all of this is good, but, want to, make the point, right? We'll just start at 15. All right, it says, and he had power to give a life unto the image of the beast, that the image should both speak and cause that as many would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. And we know that mark, all right, to be the RFID CHIP. All right, the thing you will receive in your right or left hand. All right, to buy and to sell in today's society, you will need this. Cash will no longer be an option. All right, that tender will no longer be available for purchase. All right, or sale, or whatever. Right. It says, and he had. It says he caused of all. Right, meaning the entire world. All right, women, children. All right, men. All right, he caused of all. Old men, young men, all right, young women, old women, right? And he calls of all, both small and great, all right, of all statuses, all right? You have your poor class, your middle class, and the rich, right? But if you, all right, are, a part of this beast system, you need this mark, okay? Those who worship the beast in his image, you will need this mark, all right? Meaning those who are, they're ready to, do whatever to make that dollar, right? Get down with the beast system, man, to make sure that, that their bills are paid, right? Because that really matters right now, right? Especially in the times that we're coming in, right? It says to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. So, and you have Elon Musk with the Neuralink, and there's other companies also as well that has pushed this RFID CHIPs. All right, people use them now in their jobs, all right, for home and personal use. All right, but soon it'll be used for a cashless society. All right, meaning you will need this to, not only go to work, all right, but to buy your groceries, put gas in your car, right, buy the baby milk, okay. 17, it says, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right, so meaning you would need this mark. All right, you would need to be down with this system, all right, in order to buy and to sell in today's society. Okay, if not, you will be excluded. All right, from today's society. That's why the guy in the video was saying, you could, live out the rest of the days and live out your wildest dreams, or you could prep. But you cannot prep for this. All right? You have those who will take the mark, right, and you have those who won't, and that's all according to predestination. All right, and the will of the Heavenly Father, and the majority will take the mark, right. It says, saying that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast of the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. All right, man, this is a man system. All right, man, this was set up by man. All right, and that man is who? Esau Edom, so-called white man. All right, beginning with the elite banking families. All right, it says, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, and we know it to be what? The 3 6s, all right? And this is always been associated with the beast, okay? Even those in the world can tell you that, anybody, with any kind of zeal, all right, or any kind of information about, the wicked, all right, who run the world, the Illuminati, they understand and know that, that 3 6s was always associated, all right, with the mark of the beast. And we always knew that the mark of the beast would come to pass. Even, being back in the world, we would hear about the mark of the beast, and we knew that, we didn't know. Of course, we didn't know exactly what it was, because now we have, the understanding through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Yahushua, but we always knew that it was associated with that implant, all right, that chip. For some reason, I always knew that, right? But, now I have a better and clearer understanding of the agenda of the wicked. All right. This is Revelation 3, all right, chapter 3, verse 10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world. All right, there's that word all again. I mean, the entire world is going to be tried. Asia, America, Russia, China, Ukraine, all right, Cuba, all right, just to name a few. All of these countries, nations are gonna be tried, and they're all gonna be down with this beast system. Okay, it's gonna come upon the whole world because, as you can see, and as they said in the podcast video, China's been losing a lot of jobs too. All right, because this new AI technology, robots. All right, they want a digital system all the way across, man. Okay. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. This is talking to the elect, though. All right. It says, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So you have men that are not a part of that beast system and that are not going to take that mark. All right. Let me get that in. I think this Romans said 7,000. All right, let's get this. This is Romans 11:4. It says, but what said the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men who have not bowed, all right, the knee to the image of Baal. So those 7,000 men were the elect at that time. All right, you have the elect back today, all right, that are not going to bow the knee to the beast system. All right. Okay. And Lord willing, we're part of that number. This is Revelation 12:9. It says, and that great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, all right, called the devil, all right, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. All right, that word devil just goes into this deception, all right, deceiver, all right. And we know that to be who Esau, Edom, all right, so-called white man. It says, which deceiveth the whole world. All right, he was cast into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. All right, so he had the power to deceive the whole world, which that's what he's continuing. All of this is sorcery. All of this is tricks, magic. All right, smoke and mirrors. All right, none of this is, all of this is deception at the end of the day. Okay, this is the greatest tactic. Okay, let's get Isaiah 24. Okay, it says, behold, the Lord maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. All right. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so with the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. All right, meaning everyone's going to be affected. Everyone's going to be touched. All right, by this the crash of this of the dollar, man, because everyone, the American dollar was used, in many countries. Okay, the dollar was used, really on all levels, right? But when you had BRICS coming to the picture, a lot of nations dropped the dollar, right? It says, the land shall be utterly empty and utterly spoiled. The Lord has spoken his word. Everyone's going to feel it, man. Rich, poor, all right, middle class, all right. Everyone's going to feel it. Revelation 12:12 says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, all right, everyone. It says, of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down to you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. All right, so the devil trying to take everyone with him, trying to take everybody with him, right? Isaiah 19:15 says, neither shall there be any work for Egypt, which the head or the tail, branch or rush may do. So this is going to affect everyone, even the elites. And we went into it at camp yesterday. All right. But yeah, us, the Egyptians are not, us at the Egyptians, but because we're in spiritually Egypt today. All right. America, when these plants do shut down, these manufacturers, operations do shut down. All right. All these jobs, these tech jobs, all these things do shut down. it's gonna affect everyone, even the elite, because ultimately these are the slaves of the elite. All right, everything goes back to them. All right. So with that, once again, Lord willing, I pray that this lesson was edifying. Until next time, I'll let it close out by giving all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone, Shalom, and Shalom to the hopeful elect.